Ah, come close, dear seeker, and let me whisper my tale. I am the Fly Agaric, Amanita Muscaria, the crimson-crowned enigma, the toadstool of lore, the mushroom of myth and mystery. I am the one who opens the door between the waking world and dreams of lore. A crimson cap, a storyteller's muse, a guide for those who dare to choose. I am a bridge between worlds. My flesh holds muscimol and ibutenic acid, keys to altered realms. Shamans of the tundra drank my essence to walk the spirit's path, their visions woven into the fabric of forgotten rites. Yet I am also a trickster, unpredictable, my gifts not freely given. Through time, I have been a companion to seekers and sages. In Norse myth, I am tied to Odin's wisdom and the berserker's fury. In Ireland, I linger on the edges of fairy rings, where the ace she dance between worlds. Perhaps I was the fairy's mushroom, an enchantment, a whisper of the unseen. Beneath me, unseen, my mycelium weaves through earth and root, binding the forest in an ancient web. I am not just a mushroom, I am the voice of the woods, a fleeting bloom in the endless dance of decay and renewal. I am the keeper of secrets, the weaver of dreams, the guardian of the threshold, and I will forever remain a mystery. Welcome, everyone. I'm incredibly inspired to have heard such eloquent and heartfelt speakers today and to be here with you all. I'm Courtney, and I'm excited to share with you the rich history, folklore, and medicine of the Fly Agaric. I love to start with poetry. Fly Agaric has inspired myths and folklore across Ireland, Siberia, and indeed to all corners of the globe. It has long been a bridge between worlds, and today we'll explore its story. This mushroom has profoundly impacted my life, from relieving chronic pain to becoming a foundation of my research and teaching. And now you'll see, I'm even inspired enough to find myself dressing in her honor. Today we'll explore its mythical origins, traditional uses, and modern revival. Why the Fly Agaric? It's an iconic mushroom, yet misunderstood, often seen as either deadly or magical with little nuance. This mushroom has long been feared, revered, and forgotten. Its striking red and white cap makes it one of the most recognized mushrooms, yet its true role in history is complex. I have some references to follow inspired by some of the research by Peter McCoy of Radical Mycology and Kevin Feeney of Fly Agaric Press, and Chapter 11 in the Compendium of History, Pharmacology, Mythology, and Exploration, called Speckled Snake, Brother of Birch by Lorien White. Throughout Celtic mythology, recurring references to magical foods, sacred trees, and hidden knowledge suggest an encoded tradition of visionary experience. Among these, the red and white Amanita Muscaria mushroom, the most culturally significant psychoactive fungus in history, appears to be subtly woven into the lore of the Celts, just as it was in many ancient Indo-European traditions. Magical foods and otherworldly journeys. In the Irish Adventures of Cormac, Cormac receives a silver branch with 3 golden apples that induce sleep, leading him into the other world, where he encounters a mystical fountain of knowledge, the salmon of knowledge, hazelnuts, and the water of knowledge. Likewise, the pursuit of Dermot and Grania describes the red rowan berries, the Tutadanan, which preserve immortality, restore youth, and heal all ailments. These berries grow on a sacred tree guarded by a giant, preventing ordinary mortals from accessing them. Diarmid describes the berries as containing the exhilaration of wine and the satisfaction of old mead, and that 3 berries could restore a person's youth. While no known plant has such properties, Siberian tribes who use Amanita muscaria describe its effects as mild intoxication, euphoria, and rejuvenation. Could these legendary berries be a veiled reference to Amanita muscaria? If the Druids employed psychoactives for insight, healing, or altered states, they would likely have protected this knowledge with metaphor and taboo, keeping its true meaning hidden from outsiders. The birch tree, the Om alphabet, and the brotherhood of the mushroom. The Om alphabet, a sacred script attributed to the god Agma, begins with the letter Be, birch, reinforcing the tree's spiritual importance. The birch tree's significance deepens when we consider that Amanita muscaria forms a symbolic mycorrhizal relationship with birch, spruce, and certain conifers, also oak, meaning that wherever birch flourishes, so does this mushroom. One particularly intriguing Ogham letter, Edad, has no known meaning, yet its associated symbols are red speckled and brother of birch. Given that Amanita muscaria is a red speckled mushroom thriving at the base of many of birch trees, this may be a hidden reference to the mushroom's sacred role. The salmon of knowledge, a metaphor for Amanita muscaria? The salmon of knowledge is another enduring Celtic motif. According to legend, the salmon gained its wisdom by eating hazelnuts that fell into the well of knowledge. Yet eating salmon, even one that has consumed hazelnuts, does not lead to poetic inspiration. However, if Amanita muscaria was symbolically referred to as pieces of dried salmon, then the story takes on a new meaning. The salmon, with its silvery skin and red speckles, visually resembles dried Amanita muscaria pieces. This opens the possibility that the legendary act of eating the salmon of knowledge was actually an encoded reference to ingesting Amanita muscaria for divine inspiration and poetic insight. Celtic myths frequently associate fire, wisdom, and inspiration with mystical figures who grant knowledge to humankind. One particularly striking figure we cannot omit is the red-haired, fiery patron of prophecy, smithcraft, and healing, the goddess Bridget. Stories of her miracles, visionary power, and control over the fires of creation and transformation echo themes found in cultures where Amanita muscaria was revered as a sacred intoxicant and a divine teacher. Throughout these myths, we see repeated motifs of red and white, altered states of mind, and cryptic references to birds such as crows and single eyes, all of which align with Amanita muscaria symbolism in other ancient traditions. If we treat these symbols not as mere curiosities, but as remnants of a long-forgotten Celtic shamanic tradition, they could provide new insights into the way the druids and the poets and the seers, the Fili, encoded their knowledge of visionary plants into allegory and myth. By considering these hidden threads, we may begin to uncover the forgotten fungal traditions of the ancient Celts, revealing a deeper connection between the otherworld, the sacred tree, the mystical food, and the visionary fire of knowledge. Fairy rings and the Aishi. Is this where the magic happens? Fairy rings Fly Agaric often grows in fairy rings, seen as portals to the other world. Were these enchanted places actually referring to altered states? Parallels to Siberian shamanism, the Fly Agaric was used by indigenous Siberian tribes to enter trance states. Did pre-Christian Ireland have similar traditions? Shapeshifting and altered states. Irish warriors described as taking on superhuman strength, distorting in form and fighting with godlike fury. Similar to Norse berserkers, who are thought to have potentially used the Fly Agaric. Medicinal potential, nervous system regulation. Amanita muscaria helps with overactive nerves, anxiety, and sleep disorders. Chronic pain relief, in particular, is my biggest interest and passion with this mushroom. And I will share the recipe by Henriette Kress in slides to follow about how to make this very powerful and safe external remedy. And just additionally, muscimol, one of the key components of Fly Agaric, interacts with GABA receptors. So similar to anti-anxiety meds, let's say. And some studies are now taking place to hopefully advance these medicinal possibilities. Another key reference is the potential of Fly Agaric to combat benzodiazepine addictions. And interesting to note that originally benzodiazepines were originally extracted from Fly Agaric, but they went on to use other other sources for creating benzodiazepines, but there was a common link, and their use on the GABA pathways is connected. So, rewilding the mind. Nature connection isn't just physical, it's cultural, psychological, and spiritual. And foraging for me is a radical act of reconnection and reconnecting with ancestral wisdom. So, more time in the forest in these realms, I feel more close to the animal within me and reminded of and reassured of my intimate place among the more than human world. So, my background, Courtney Tyler, as I said, and I online as Hips and Haws Wildcrafts. I'm a forager, educator, wellness guide, and advocate for reconnecting with nature through fungi and other wild plants. Fly Agaric has become central to my work, sharing its success for many as a remedy to combat pain relief, often chronic pain relief, with very few applications. And its beauty, its folklore, its art, its poetry, and its potential for healing have always inspired me. So beyond the psychedelic interest, people are rediscovering its medicinal and cultural significance. And like I mentioned earlier, has been used successfully for many in supporting the nervous system, helping with sleep issues and chronic pain relief. So here's the promised recipe. This is the recipe that inspired me on my path, and I learned from Henriette Kress, Finnish herbalist who's now a friend of mine. And this very simple recipe is what I used to great, astounding success to combat my own personal sciatic pain, which was chronic and long-term, and sometimes resulted in waking up paralyzed for periods of time. And very few applications of this remedy changed my world and inspired me to share this and teach others this method. Help me manage my chronic pain, and then to further my research into this fascinating mushroom. So the recipe is as simple as taking some fresh caps of Fly Agaric. You could use dried if that's all you have, but this recipe was taught to me using fresh. And unlike other mushroom extracts, we don't need to use a high ethanol extract, a high ABV alcohol. For this, something like vodka is more than sufficient. The compounds of muscimol and ibutenic acid are water soluble, so when sliced and put in something such as vodka, the water soluble compounds go into the water and is preserved by the alcohol. So I would usually slice up my caps, a combination of at least a few caps, not just one, because one cap can vary considerably in strength to others. So it's best to have a selection of caps sliced and put in vodka, covered loosely in vodka, and then left for at least 2 to 4 weeks, shaken and strained, and then kept in a dark bottle. And as little as 3 or 4 drops at the site of pain or at your spine nearest the pain can be incredibly life-changing in reducing or obliterating chronic pain for many. I would apply as needed, but sometimes very few applications are necessary. And I was sharing about my experiences with Fly Agaric at Herb Feast in Ireland, and Henriette Kress was in the audience, and it was lovely to hear her reassurances that she has used this remedy externally for even pregnant women in pregnancy with back pain. Remember, it's external application only in very few drops. So that was something also safe while breastfeeding, according to Henriette. So there's some pictures of the Fly Agaric tincture in action there. By the way, most of these photographs are my own. So here I have a reference to the other very, very powerful and alluring magic mushroom that is very relevant to our shores in Ireland, our world in Ireland. So this is the Liberty Cap. very different creature to Fly Agaric. And Fly Agaric, the Amanita Muscaria, does not contain psilocybin like this mushroom does. But, exploring the conversation of Ireland and psychedelic history or potential for it, we would be remiss not to talk more about the Liberty Caps. But of course, we have Ciara Sherlock coming on after this talk to share more about that. But the Liberty Caps in Ireland's hidden psychedelic history. Irish mythology is full of otherworld journeys. Could psychedelics have played a role? Modern research, psychedelics are being reevaluated for mental health, as I'm sure you're all aware. And just what a stunning mushroom. Now, I want to say that mushroom, that photo right there to the right was actually taken by my friend Łukasz, Lukas, Polish friend, and I had saved it on my phone ages ago. I just want to credit him. Most of the other photos are mine, but that one actually belongs to him, so I'll share that there. I can share a link to him in the notes as well. So here I am, Hips and Haws Wildcrafts. I would invite you all, anyone who feels called to come for a walk with me in the forest or an event throughout the year where we learn about herbal medicine, wild food fermentation, preservation, medicinal mushrooms, and foraging, connecting with these potent foods and medicines around us. There's my friend Fergus. He's done lots of these magical events with me throughout our offerings of the last few years. We couldn't resist a photo shoot in the forest, as you'll see with many photos to follow. Just such a magical creature to stumble upon. Beautiful. I am the ember in autumn's hand, a whisper from a forest land, a story untold, a path unseen, a teacher within the mycelial dream. So please stay in touch, hipsandhaws.com. Here's my Instagram, Hips and Haws Wildcrafts. I post there regularly and often, and you can find a lot more information about what I do on my website or follow me online. I'd love to stay in touch. Please reach out and say hello. So, yeah, that's the talk finished. Now I do have just a selection of other incredible photos and, this funny meme here. This worldwide network of fungi, is it in the room with us right here now? This unseen world of magic below our feet. Did an event in Ireland with Amanita Dreamer in 2023. She's got a lot to say about Fly Agaric and well worth listening to her story. So that's the talk done now. I'll just share these slides and say goodbye, but please do reach out should you wish it, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
That's gorgeous. The raining. That's gorgeous. The raining.
There we go. Thanks, everyone.